Hey guys, I'm Joel. Welcome back to a new video. In this video, it's not going to be as fun as the other ones because I'm going to be taking the chassis harness that's in it right now completely out. So I'm taking the whole thing apart because the one that's in it right now is supposed to be for an 87 convertible, which that was all I had. It's what came with the car. And because of that, there's a few different things, like the rear defrost is different. On the vert, it's like a blower motor. There's two plugs under the dash that are different. I'll show you guys that once we get there. And because of that, my windows don't work. Blower motor doesn't work. Nothing works, basically. I mainly want the windows to work. And over here, you can see this is the new chassis harness. Got it off of eBay. And it's all stuffed in this box. So yeah, I'm going to get right into it because I think this could be a long video. I'm going to show you guys me taking everything out, basically, so you know what goes into doing this job. Also, I'm starting this chassis harness video now, and you guys are going to actually see this other video before. I have a whole bunch of sound editing here that I want to install once there's no carpet or no chassis harness because it's just easier that way. I did have kind of a head start because I have no carpet, so I don't have to rip anything out. But first comes first is take all the seats out, center console out, and rear deck lid out, and then I can start pulling all the wires out from the trunk, so like the rear tail lights, and pull them all. They all come through right here. Pull it all through, and then we can start taking everything apart, basically. Struggles of having a small ass garage. To the basement I go. Just don't scratch the car. And just like that, it looks like the whole car is already... Maybe this isn't going to be as bad as I thought it was, because it looks... See, this is pretty ignorant. See, now that I'm going back, I'm definitely going to fix stuff like this, because this open hole under the seat lets so much exhaust noise come in, and it's so much louder than if this grommet were covering it. So I'm definitely just going to put this grommet in there, stick this in there, you know. Have it be complete because I want to fill all the grommets on the firewall too, because when I'm driving, all the cold or hot air comes in through those and it doesn't feel like a nice car when there's a bunch of air coming in. Like driving in the winter, my toes were always freezing. Now I'm gonna vacuum everything in here, get all the leaves and mess out so I have a clean working space. This is also an E36 center console with an armrest that I used some riv nuts to get it on this. I have a video recording making it fit, but I haven't finished it, so you can see that it's still loose. Disconnect the battery while I'm at it too. Now all these gauges can also come out. These are nice and easy to disconnect, so I could just take that all out. I want to try my best to have this stuff not be this poorly installed because everything is so loose everywhere. Look at this. It's so loose. There's literally nothing holding. Look at this absolute disaster. So many wires everywhere. Oh. So now that the interior is pretty much fully gutted, except for the dash, I'm going to take all the wires out of the trunk and bring it out into right here so that I'm not overwhelmed by all the wires under the dash right away. So I just want to work my way from the back of the car up, and then I can take all the wires from the engine bay, pull them out, and then I can just take the fuse box and pull everything out, and it's all going to come out through that hole right there. This is the disaster that's currently in my trunk. I need to better fix this cable right here so that it's not weirdly on this positive terminal. I want to fix this and officially mount it. There's only one screw holding it in, and I want to mount all these power cables because I have the subs amp just chilling there loosely on the floor, and the 4-channel back over there is only held in by one self-tapper in the corner. I want to fully mount both of those, make all the wires long enough, make everything just official, and fully mount the sub too because everything is loose in here. I just redoing all the wiring in the car basically. By the way, the sub that I have in here is one single Kicker Comp R 12-inch with a sealed box, and it's pretty good for what it is. The mono amp that I have in here is a Rockford Fosgate R2 500X1 Prime. So the furthest part of the chassis harness away from the fuse box is actually this light right here. So this is part of the harness that needs to come out and go into the trunk, which it twists. So I'm just with the screwdriver and this pry tool. This was really hard to get out, but so this just comes up. Gotta pop this tail light out because the harness actually comes into here. So I just pry that back a little bit and this comes up, loosens up. And I mainly don't want to cut anything because I want to know where everything comes from and I want to know where everything goes. And I did do a pretty good job about leaving everything loose. Now the 2 license plate lights have to come out, 2 screws on each. Just these 2 wires, disconnect those 2. And then the harness on the inside could just get pulled right through the hole. So I'm just gonna put this back in and hand tight the screws so I don't lose them. Same on this side. So once the carpet's pulled back a little bit, these wires go above the trunk mechanism latch. So you kind of gotta pull them one by one through here. It's a pretty big pain in the ass. There's a plug at the bottom that connects to the auto lock. So when you lock this, it locks all the doors. So I gotta disconnect that too, which gotta undo these 2. These are 7 mils. You just gotta pull really hard and that comes out. I'm just making my life way harder by not taking this out, so I'm gonna remove this trunk mechanism thing. Small stuff like this is what tests the fuck out of your patience. I just need this plug to come through and make enough room for it to snug through. I pulled this enough. Just gotta find the right angles. There we go. It's through. The grommet. Ow. There we go. There's like little hook loops that the harness kind of clips into. You just lift it up and over that and just take it out of that little harness holder. Oh god. Oh god. But now that exposed more of the harness, it just runs up here. Like these little clips right here. Ow. Everything is so brittle in here. These clips, you just pull them the opposite direction and then loosens it there. Everything goes through there. So we just want to push it all through there. There's also one more corner light right here that you want to take this out. This grommet is so OD. Here we go. So everything in the trunk is now loose. Normally you'd have wires coming up through here into these lights, or just one light right here, but I don't have that because I didn't run it. So if you just slowly work your way up, it's a lot less intimidating than starting here, undoing all this and like taking the dash out and having a bunch of wires everywhere. So by the way, I have a mustache because I'm getting a new ID in 2 days, so I'm gonna have a mustache in it. Just because why not? So it's already looking like a rat's nest with everything from the trunk in here. It won't be as bad as you'd think. So another thing about the coupe too is that it has a completely different rear defrost. It has this little thing where 2 wires connect, one over there, and the convertible has this connects to the blower, and this is the relay for that blower, and that lives right here on the convertible. Now I'm gonna take this ground off. And like always, thread it back in so I don't lose the bolt. But now all these wires, literally, just pull them forward. So just like that, all these wires, loosening the big bundle up. That's basically the whole trunk and all the wires on this side of the car. And now kind of the painful part, it's gonna be the fuel pump wiring. I'm gonna need to take this cover off. I'm gonna cut it on this side for both of them. So the relay is now free on its own, and I can go and lower the gas tank. First, actually, I'm gonna undo everything up here because might as well. I lied. I'm not dropping the tank down yet because I'm gonna have to do that again when I'm putting the chassis harness back in. So I'd rather just cut it up here, which I'm gonna do. Right now, my SD card just gave me an error and said that all the last footage that you guys just saw was gonna have to get formatted and deleted. So I went to my computer and it let me export all of that, thankfully. So I cut this like I was saying, and now I can just take this whole chassis harness and start throwing it forward and unclipping it from all the clips right there and take this out. So now that we're here, I want to take the door plug out, so I need to take that speaker out and get all the wires out from in there. There's two prongs, one up here and one down here. You push them towards each other, so you pinch them, and they have like a click when you pinch far enough. With pliers, I just come in and slide that out. You gotta unclip it from the actual chassis by doing that, and the whole plug comes out. There's also one single wire connected to, I think this is just saying that the door is open or closed. This is just a spade connector, so you just wiggle it off from in there, and that comes off. And then I need to loosen the wires from the holding, and then that's basically the whole right side of the car right here. And these clips right here also work the same way, that they slide off. So this top piece just slides off, all the wires come loose, and then you just slide it right back in again, slide it, comes out. The reason why the wires are also so clean like this, I don't know if this is how they come stock, but I used a lot of Tessa tape to wrap everything up to keep it clean in sections, so that while I was installing it, I would have an easier time telling where everything goes. So like, it's very easy to tell that this is for the door because I kind of like traced it back and stuff as I was installing. So I'm gonna be doing that with the new harness as well. So everything there is loose now. This is my second E30 that this door doesn't stay open on. It's so annoying. So that's the key. You gotta pull on it a little bit so that it gets it right to the point of where it wants to come out. And you can actually feel the little clip hitting against the chassis. Hood opening mechanism needs to come out. And now that uncovered this huge mess of wires. Normally this thing is bolted in right about there, so probably undo those bolts. And I slipped these really thick wires out of this bracket right here because this is a spin bracket, but I don't know how you're supposed to spin it onto wires. Like, that doesn't really make sense. But everything's loose now. Now I gotta take the dash out. To try and finesse it out. I'm pretty sure everything is loose. So these sides have to come down because they have two metal hooks that hook into this. And it would be smart to take this out, but I'm not doing that. Okay, well apparently it's that easy. This bottom one was already broken, but it's just two push pins. You pull them out and lets you have so much more room to pull the dash out. Oh. Oh, my Broadway. To the basement I go. By the way, this mirror is a Broadway. It's not the whitest one, but they have like one size larger. It's so much nicer. It makes the car look so much better. Go push down on that and it comes out. This is one of the plugs that I said that was wrong on this one. So on the other side, I'm pretty sure I have it spliced. I'm gonna undo this bracket to bring all this wires. There's also a ground right here that you want to take off as well. So these are what the wires are and where they go. This is where I had them. You definitely want to take a picture of this before you take them out. So this little sub harness right here is what connects like the headlight switch, and then everything above the dash as well, like that hazards and stuff. So this little sub harness I'm pretty sure I keep, and my other harness didn't come with that. Another set of wires is also the wires that come up this pillar right here and go to this check panel. So you just want to pull that check panel out, disconnect this, and also these dome lights. The convertible doesn't have dome lights up here, it only has one up there. So you would have to take these out and do that, but I'm guessing this headliner is sagging because you got to pull this out and then fish the wires out through there on both sides. So now I'm gonna try and very carefully pop these out. I don't know how they come out, but I really want to save them because they hold the wires in really nicely. It's not okay. Good. I thought this was a clip that has to like twist in then go like that, but it's just a push pin. Yeah, now I need to undo this visor so I can bring the headliner down and get that wire out. Now the headliner is sagging a little bit. There we go. It's the last big piece of the chassis harness inside of the car. The last thing in here is the wires that connect the chassis harness to this whole blower unit. That big connector up there is the blower motor. Now that I'm actually down here seeing it, also need to disconnect the brake light switch, and then everything under the steering column, or on top of the steering column, comes out like that. This is actually the worst clip on the whole E30. This is the most AIDS thing I've ever had to come in contact with. Always, every time I go to try and take this out, I'm mauled for 15 minutes straight because I don't know how it comes off. So you just pry on it until you just get the right angle to get it and it comes out. But don't be like me. Look at this video for reference because I didn't have a reference, but you push the two clips together as much as it can so it relieves tension on this clip right here. And then you squeeze this open. If you try pulling on it and then squeezing it, it's not gonna, there's gonna be way too much pressure because the clip is trying to come off. So, and if you can't, how I got it was get the screwdriver. This is the blower side. So get the screwdriver under there and pry it open. And twist off. I also need to take this cover off to take the wiper motor wires out. That glue around here is holding it pretty good. That's the connector right there. Just gotta disconnect it. Disconnect the chassis harness from the power of the car. Now all the wires that are down here, like the AC and everything over here, it's all disconnected for me because I knew this was gonna happen. They're all loose now. I can go to the front and fish it all out. That's a fake eBay wheel though. 4x100, 15x8, ET20 I think. Got them on eBay like 3 years ago now. Those are the first wheels I ever got. But for the ABS, right here you see that there's a screw. You just want to undo that. When you undo that screw, this cover is going to come off. Then that's going to give you access to the connector for the ABS. Two screws holding the wires in right there. And that's disconnected now. There's also a 10mm right here, ground. Shout out to my dad. He just helped me yank it because it's a lot easier when you have someone inside feeding the wires through, feeding all the really big connectors in one at a time so that you can get them all out. Yo, I can't wait to throw this in the garbage. So now that I have this bare ass interior, I'm gonna cut to the video that you guys saw last week of doing the whole sound editing on the whole car. That should be fun. I finished editing what you guys just watched last night and it's already 19 minutes long, so I'm gonna kind of skim through everything now because you guys already saw the whole uninstall. It's the exact same thing installing it, just backwards. And this is what the car looks like now. Completely different than what I left it off as. I got the new chassis harness sprawled out on the right side right here, and this one's in a lot better condition than my old one was. My old one had a lot of exposed wire like this that made it really easy to tangle, but this one is very nice. So I untangled everything outside of the car, so now I know that this whole section right here, I can feed it in and I can pull it straight to the back of the car, and I know that there's no wires intertwined, and it just makes it so much easier if you do it outside of the car instead of trying to do it all inside the car. So right now everything looks pretty good on the new harness, except for I don't have the wires for the radio on this harness, and I don't know if it's like a different sub harness or whatever it is, but I do know that on this old harness, this is what I have connected to the actual back of the head unit, and all this needs is ground, constant power, and switched 12-volt power, and that comes from this connector right here, and this connects to the C302 that's under the dash that has a whole bunch of different plugs right over here. It connects into there, and that's where it gets the power and whatever. So I'm gonna rip this out of this harness because it's a part of this harness. Like, this connects deeper into there, and I only need this, so I'm gonna rip this out of there and use just the power, ground, and constant power. And also, one more thing I need to figure out before putting it in is these wires for the windows. Green and blue is window, but I can't find those wires on over here. So if it's a sub harness, I need to try and figure it out because I need the windows to work on that when I put this back in. I want to explain this window situation a little bit better because I can't find the harness that connects the circuit breaker to the actual windows. So I'm ended up having to cut this wire out of that harness, as in like cutting it out of the loop, and then I'm gonna have to cut this off of the windows right here. This is what connects the circuit breaker. These two go to the back of the circuit breaker right here, and then this is basically what cuts power to the windows, and then this connects it directly to each window switch. So I can't find these on the harness that I got, and I can't find it on that car, I can't find it on this car. But right here, this is the C302 clip, and it says that the white and black wire are for the windows, so that's this plug right here. So with this blue wire, it comes in and connects right into there, and this is what connects the windows to the actual fuse box. The white wire turns into this blue and green wire right here, and then it goes to the circuit breaker, and then from the circuit breaker, the gray and green wire is what brings it to the windows directly. Right here, I know that because there's a green and gray wire connected directly to the window switch. These two are the window switches right here, and that, once I followed it all the way through the harness, it leads to this plug right here, green and gray. And I'm assuming there's a harness that connects into here that I don't have. I really hope you guys can see this, but right here, this is the power distribution block. I finally learned how to read this diagram right here. Power distribution block, fuse 17, this is the fuse box. It comes out as a white and black wire, and then it comes to the C302 accessory connector that I showed you guys right there. And then it comes out as a green and blue wire, and I'm guessing this is the harness that goes to the thing that I don't have. And then green blue comes into the power circuit breaker window for the windows, and then it comes out as green gray. And when it comes out as green gray, that's what gets carried green gray to the driver window and to the passenger window over here. So this is how I know that that is actually how it works, and I think that it's really cool to know how everything works like this. And it's a really useful thing to know how to read this diagram, because if it wasn't for this, I would have no idea what I'm doing. So finally, I'm gonna cut this wire out of the old harness right around here, and then I'm gonna find a way to adapt it to this right here, so that hopefully this is what I need for my windows to work. You guys won't have to do this if you take the harness out, but I'm trying to adapt a whole bunch of harnesses to make one work. And right here, this is the wiring for my radio as well. Connects into the same C302 plug right there, so I can finally put this harness into the car. Got a little blanket over right here, so I can start feeding that chassis harness exactly how it is through. The grommet is fully seated now. Got the oil temperature wire, oil pressure wire, and the speed sensor for the 24 valve swap ran through that grommet, and the rest of the harness is just in here. Now I gotta start routing it and connecting everything. The wiring for my wheel speed sensor pulled out of the connector, so I'm gonna take the old connector out of my old harness and I'm gonna splice it in rather than trying to crimp it on, because that's easier. And I also, this is a 318 late model fuel sending unit, so it needs a late model plug on it. I have the late model plug right here, and I need to splice this into the harness because this is an early model harness. So I cut off the old fuel pump wiring right here. So I'm gonna tape this together right like that and feed it together as one, and then once it comes up to here is when I'll splice this connector on, because it'll make it way easier to feed it through the top of the tank. Just a quick little note on, I used to struggle a lot when I was soldering, and I find it a lot easier when, just to make sure that the wires are very close together, I just stick them in each other. I get some of this flux, put it on the wire, and then with the solder gun right here, you just feed in a little bit of solder on top, and it makes it really easy when the wires are all touching, or else it doesn't heat up properly. I could take some silicone paste, put it on top of the actual solder, and then take these heat shrinks and close it up on top of that, because this is going right on the diff. This is all going to be extremely wet. And that's it, fully done. Now I can throw it down under. Bruh. No way. I'm looking for my heat gun. The fucking wiring. This is what I need. This is the harness that I need for my windows. Oh my god. I'm so happy. I don't have to cut and splice anything. Oh my god, yes. Let's go. This is by far the worst part of this whole chassis harness thing. I think I got it. Oh. Ooh, got it. Let's go. And I cut the connector off of the fuel pump one and tied it to this one and fed it through. It's a lot easier if you take a rope, drop it through there, tape this to the rope, and just pull it. But you know, I think I'm finally nearing the end. I have everything up here connected, up there the C302 connected, wiring up to the top for the check light. I have this ground connected, and I have basically everything else connected. Fuel pump relay is wired in. All the grounds are connected under the dash right back over here. So now I want to try and turn the key on and see if I'm gonna get power to all the accessories in the engine, because last time when I had the old harness, I didn't, and I had to splice two wires together for it to work. I have the window switches in too, because I want to see if these are gonna work as well. First I gotta connect the battery. So ideally I want to hear the fuel pump when I turn this key, because last time I wasn't hearing the fuel pump when I installed the old harness. Okay, I had fuel pump. Fuel pump's on. We got power. Now I'm gonna, hopefully this window motor is gonna spin. This is the circuit breaker right here. It's just two prongs on the back. Please, I'm praying that these windows work. Please, windows. Please. Oh, let's go! Windows work. Let's see if that one works. Let's go! I'm so happy. I've never had working windows in this car. Oh my god. It was worth all the work. It was worth it. Let's go. Even just for the windows alone, it was worth it. I got the window motor bolted in. When I hit this, the window goes up and down. Just like how it's supposed to. But I think that is a good note to leave this video on. Fuel pump starts, so that means everything is getting power. ECU is getting power. And the car will start if I turn it on right now. That's not really anything that I'm worried about. I can end this video now. I feel happy. It's been like 3 weeks me filming this, so I appreciate you guys for watching very much. Leave a like, comment what you think. Follow me on Instagram right here at E30 Joel for more real life updates. And yeah, thank you for watching.